Yo, welcome back to another video. It's your boy Coreythemaan. We back in here, baby. Yo, I got some posters on the wall. Damn it, that poster that fell down. I feel like all these posters are pretty much falling down. Let me edit those real quick. I'm gonna just take them down. I'm up. I need to give me some thumbtacks. When I put the thumbtack up there, that's when it stayed up. Oh, it just came right off. Yeah, we're gonna have to. Alright, I took them all off. They all right here. Um, they look different when I had bought them online. It looked like they were gonna be like so much like wall murals, like the with the canvas and everything else. It's all good though. I didn't even know how big they was gonna be. It's not big at all. It's bigger than a printer sheet, so I'll say that. But that's about it. Only got like 4 thumbtacks on me, but I got that super adhesive tape in the other room. I might go and try to hang them back up. But right now, let's get to the video. This is WWE news. CM Punk feud set. Big WWE name fired. WWE mistake with Bronson. Read on Raw. Yeah, I was watching Raw and I miss Bronson Reed, bro. I was like, where's Bronson, bro? They need to bring him back ASAP. Like, have him do something, like speed up his process or something. Cause they say he got cold or whatever. Sorry. I actually went back to the home screen. Let's go. They say, there's nothing on Odyssey Jones. I think some wrestling observers trying to say he out the company or something, but there's no proof behind it. So that's what's up. Let's get into it.
We're starting with WWE, where there's no shortage of championships to fight over, but as of late, it's been a simple bracelet that has been stealing the spotlight on Monday Night Raw. The bracelet was gifted to CM Punk at the WWE Fanatics World Festival and bears the names of Punk's wife AJ and dog Larry, and has played a role in Punk's war with Drew McIntyre. At Bash in Berlin, Punk triumphed over McIntyre in a strap match and reclaimed the bracelet, and despite Punk's desire to move on, their feud isn't over yet. On Raw, Punk started the show's second hour by soaking in the cheers of the Denver crowd, and while he was eager to return home to his wife and their pooch, he addressed his future first. Punk reflected on his Berlin victory and declared the matter with McIntyre settled, and then focused on being in the wrestling business to make friends rather than money. That brought Punk onto the main crux of his promo as he congratulated Gunther on his Berlin win over Randy Orton before declaring that he wants the World Heavyweight Championship. Just as Punk's celebration was underway, Drew McIntyre attacked him from behind. McIntyre delivered a brutal assault, including a Claymore kick that knocked Punk's shoe off. Punk was thrown into the ring and took another Claymore, and McIntyre delivered a series of kicks to continue his decimation of the AEW alum. Despite security's attempts to intervene, McIntyre removed the bracelet from Punk and snapped it in half, shoving the broken pieces in Punk's mouth to send a message. In case Punk wasn't badly enough beaten in the attack, McIntyre delivered a third Claymore for good measure before Adam Pearce and doctors came out to stretcher Punk away. Backstage, Punk was ambushed by Drew McIntyre again, interrupting his trip to the hospital, and it was only when Drew chose to stop that Punk was taken away. It's clear that Punk's feud with McIntyre isn't over yet, and fans who hope to see the best in the World Heavyweight title picture may have to wait for a couple of months. According to PW Insider, there are discussions about CM Punk facing Gunther at Survivor Series with the Austrian's World Heavyweight Championship on the line. 1 year after his return, such a match would be one of the most highly anticipated matches of the year and would mark Punk's first title opportunity since coming back to WWE. A victory over Gunther would be another career-defining moment for Punk at the show that will take place at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canada on November 30th. Until then, though, it appears Punk vs. McIntyre 3 will take place at WWE's Bad Blood in a Hell in a Cell match, and we reported weeks ago that the match was expected to happen. The show will be WWE's fourth Bad Blood event, and its first in over 20 years, and all 3 previous Bad Blood PLEs have featured the Hell in a Cell match. With the destruction of the bracelet and the beating he took, Punk certainly has a reason to delay his title pursuit in favor of settling things once and for all with the Scottish Warrior. Speaking of the bracelet, following Raw, the maker of the bracelet took to Twitter and thanked CM Punk for representing the bracelet on WWE programming for months. This tweet caught the attention of Drew McIntyre, who coldly told the fan named Victoria that Punk's blood is on her hands. Are you invested in a Hell in a Cell match given that Punk and McIntyre have fought twice already? Or are you tired of seeing these two lock up in the ring? What are your thoughts on Punk versus Gunther for the gold?
I don't mind it.
Do you think this match could live up to the hype? And who do you hope to see win? Share your opinions in the comments.
Protect your wealth by spending physical gold, not paper money that grows weaker by the second.
With CM Punk clearly preoccupied with Drew McIntyre, Gunther needed a new challenger for Bad Blood and seemingly learned who he'll be facing on this week's Raw. Gunther was his disrespectful self on the show, coming off of one of the biggest wins of his career, and he spoke of beating the very best version of Randy Orton. Considering how he had to deal with a shoulder injury, it was also a difficult match for him, and the question now is who's next for the Ring General? That question was answered with the arrival of Sami Zayn, who last beat Gunther at WrestleMania 40 to end his record-shattering reign as Intercontinental Champion. In his promo, Zayn named those who have used the IC title as a stepping stone to WWE's top prize, including Macho Man Randy Savage, Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels. Zayn intends to add his own name to the list, and although Gunther appeared to praise the heart of Zayn, he declined his challenge for the World Championship and walked away. Sami fired back, knowing how rattled Gunther was, as Zayn is the only man to pin the Austrian on the main roster, and one of a few in WWE to beat him, which includes Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker. Gunther declined Zayn's challenge, though Sami insinuated that Gunther is afraid of him in a strong segment that introduced another new challenger in the form of Zayn. Between Zayn and Punk, the roster of future challengers to Gunther is looking exceptionally strong, and Gunther could easily use either man to help his already growing star power. While Gunther declined on Raw, all signs are pointing to a title match at Bad Blood, while Punk and McIntyre will have their own showdown inside Hell in a Cell. Are you interested in watching Zayn have another title match with Gunther? Do you think CM Punk being in the title picture is coming too early since his return? Let us know down below. For some time now, friction between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have been brewing, especially after Kingston brought in fellow Raw superstar Odyssey Jones into the fold. Last month saw a big push for Jones, who's proven to be a valuable ally to the New Day in their feud with the Final Testament, but as August becomes September, his push may be done. On Twitter, Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp shared that Jones' profile had been removed from WWE.com, and he added that someone messaged him the day previously about Jones. That person suggested that Sapp asked WWE about changes to Jones' status, and the WWE talent Sapp did speak to said they were surprised to see Jones pulled from the roster page. Jones wasn't at last night's Raw tapings either, and despite the push he received just a few weeks ago, his status with WWE remains uncertain. Jones' work on Raw led to speculation that he'd fill Big E's spot in the New Day, and his situation is far different from the Wyatt Six, who are also missing from the page. In the case of the faction, their profiles are hidden but still exist, while Jones' profile seems to have been deleted entirely. While Jones played a pivotal role on Raw recently, getting on TV had previously been a struggle, as he wrestled no matches on TV despite being drafted to Raw in 2023. Instead, Jones was confined to house shows and dark matches, and before August, his most recent match had been a Road to WrestleMania live event loss to the seldom seen Omos on March 31st. Jones had a bright future ahead of him just a few weeks ago, but now things have changed, and why do you think he's been removed from WWE's roster page entirely? Let us know below. Since the launch of TKO Group Holdings in September 2023, WWE has made a series of changes to its corporate structure, which has resulted in a series of layoffs. Those exits haven't stopped yet, as according to the latest Wrestling Observer Daily Update, Michelle Carlucci, WWE's Director of Production Travel, has been let go from the company. Carlucci's exit marks the end of a lengthy career with WWE, as she had been with the promotion since 1988 and held various roles, including 14 years as director of the freelance crew. That role saw her deal with travel and special projects, and her most recent position was as director of production travel, a role she'd been in since 2019. The report indicates that Carlucci was let go on Friday, and her exit from WWE is particularly notable considering her 36-year tenure as part of the company. Her exit is a reminder of the ongoing restructuring and changes taking place within WWE as it adapts to the new corporate landscape, and we'll have to see who will next be given the pink slip. In a company as big as WWE, it's important to have everybody on the same page, and ahead of this week's Raw, WWE tried to ensure just that with a mandatory meeting. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reports that the main takeaway was that talent were told to be mindful of cursing on TV, but this was not a specific order, but just a reminder. WWE programming is still technically rated PG, though some predict that'll change when Raw moves to Netflix, and Sean Ross Sapp similarly reported about the advice about cursing. Cursing on WWE programming became a point of contention on the road to WrestleMania 40, and The Rock in particular often cursed on WWE programming, which led to fan discussion. Some felt that The Rock's cursing brought a level of excitement to programming, but it was reported at the time that talent had issues about what they saw as a double standard. As we said, Raw will move to Netflix in January, which has prompted speculation about the company being more loose with cursing, as well as potential other adjustments. Until then, the red brand will remain on the USA Network, where restrictions on profanity are in place, and WWE talent will have to be mindful over what not to say in front of a global audience. Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest kicked off Raw in style as they celebrated their Bash in Berlin win, and Ripley took a moment to call out Liv Morgan. Instead, it was the black eye sporting Dominic Mysterio who arrived and struggled to get a word in amid the crowd's booing, but we certainly heard Ripley threaten to give him another shiner. Mysterio said that Liv Morgan was still recovering from their Berlin battle and wouldn't be appearing tonight, but the "you suck" chants from fans made it nearly impossible for him to continue. Dominic assured everyone that Morgan wasn't afraid and would eventually accept Ripley's challenge, and at that moment, Liv appeared and rushed the ring. Trapped in the ropes, Ripley endured several kicks from Morgan before Priest made the save, but Ripley ended up getting badly hurt as she fell with her leg tied up in the ropes. Backstage, Rhea was aggressive to medical personnel as her foot is far from fine, and Liv Morgan celebrated her 100th day as champion by accepting Rhea's challenge if she can make it to the match with her injury. Fans will have to wait for updates about the injury, but for the time being, Mommy has a serious target for Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day to exploit. Now, WWE is always trying new things for their production, and this week it appears that WWE did what it could to help fans in attendance with hearing trouble. During Ripley's segment, a screen could be spotted providing subtitles for the segment and covered what Ripley had to say about Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. The subtitle screen is an interesting touch that'll help audiences understand wrestlers better, especially if they have trouble hearing or if they've just missed something from a promo. Joe Tessitore of ESPN made his commentary debut on Raw alongside Wade Barrett, replacing Michael Cole as the play-by-play announcer. On Twitter before the show, Triple H shared a backstage video of himself and Tessitore and said he couldn't wait to hear the ESPN broadcaster in action. As the lead announcer of WWE's flagship weekly show, Tessitore has been thrown in at the deep end, and we'll have to see if he sinks or swims in the weeks and months.
This is the vampire Louis Dulac.
Can't wait for
months to come.
To see what he does.
Brock Lesnar hasn't been seen on WWE TV since SummerSlam 2023, and earlier this year was pulled from all plans due to his connection to the Janelle Grant lawsuit. This week, Lesnar resurfaced online as a photo of him was shared, and the Beast was once again donned in his signature cowboy hat. The setting and the drink in a fan's hand implies that Lesnar was at a bar, and while his WWE future remains uncertain, Brock is having fun away from the ring. In the Intercontinental title contenders tournament, Bronson Reed took on Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus, or at least that was WWE's original plan before things had to be changed. Before Raw, Reed shared that he wouldn't be at Raw after testing positive for COVID-19, and in a follow-up said that Braun Breaker should count himself lucky that he's not in the tournament. With Reed unavailable, it was Braun Strowman who not only took his place, but advanced to next week's Fatal 4-Way match with a victory over Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus. The three competitors wasted no time in going to war from the start, with Strowman being temporarily removed from action after taking a hard bump through the barricade. As Sheamus and Kaiser duked it out, Strowman hurled a death chair at the German to re-enter the match to a "holy shit" chant from the crowd. Overcoming an agonizing rib injury, Strowman continued to bring the fight, and Pete Dunne would continue his feud with Sheamus by blasting the Celtic Warrior with a shillelagh. This would prove to be costly to Sheamus, who once again is on the chase to win the one title that has eluded him in his WWE career and has grown increasingly desperate to hold the gold. With Sheamus out of commission, Strowman used his size and power to flatten Kaiser with a running power slam to advance to the next round and next week's Fatal 4-Way match. Strowman's victory was something of a surprise given that he was tsunamied through the roof of a car a week ago by Bronson Reed in a spot that could have written Braun off of TV. In fact, it was a backwards move, undermining the impact of Reed's vehicular tsunami last week, and Braun was not at his best, but got the win anyway. This spot could have been given to someone else instead while maintaining Reed's aura, but if he recovers in time, Reed could cost Strowman in next week's Fatal 4-Way match. If anyone can deliver a strong performance in next week's Fatal 4-Way against smaller opponents, it's Braun, who's hungry to regain the gold he last held in 2020. Last Friday, WWE held its first SmackDown in Berlin, Germany, and while top stars like Cody Rhodes, Nia Jax, and others appeared, there was no physical appearance by the Bloodline. Instead, the group was reserved to a single video vignette in which Solo Sikoa made clear he plans on winning the WWE title, and we now know the sad reason they weren't in Berlin. In the Wrestling Observer, it is explained that the funeral of Afa Anoa'i took place over the weekend, and the Bloodline attended the ceremony rather than appear in Berlin.
That was smart.
This is a fair reason for the Bloodline to not appear live, and fans can expect Solo Sikoa's faction to dominate on the blue brand once again soon enough. Raw saw American Maids Creed Brothers and Ivy Nile take on Alpha Academy, and the action spilled out of the ring as both teams did what they had to do to win. Just as it looked like the Alpha Academy would be emerging on top, a distraction by Chad Gable allowed Ivy Nile to put Maxine Dupree in a sleeper and pick up the win for her team. Post-match, Gable called his new faction the greatest fighting family in all of WWE, and spoke of last week's match with Uncle Howdy that Chad had hoped would be a classic one-on-one match. Instead, Howdy's quote, "freak show family" got involved, and with the backing of American Made, Gable called out Howdy for a match for next week's show. The lights swiftly went out and Howdy appeared on the stage, stating that it had been 375 days since his sanity crumbled, acknowledging the passing of his brother Bray Wyatt. Howdy spoke compassionately about his life changing completely thanks to this new chapter in WWE, and in cryptic fashion accepted Gable's challenge. Howdy said if American Made want their own destruction, he'll deliver it, and the segment ended with the Wyatt Six emerging behind Howdy as the lights went off. What are your thoughts on Uncle Howdy accepting Chad Gable's challenge for next week's edition of Monday Night Raw? Sound off in the comments. As we've all seen, the Wyatt Six is heavily inspired by Bray Wyatt, but one piece of Wyatt's lore that we haven't seen so far is The Fiend. That could change soon enough though, as in his promo, Howdy said his life was not his own, but it now belonged to him, which could be an allusion to The Fiend. Wyatt wasn't portraying The Fiend when he passed away, and the character was part of Wyatt's stable when he made his return at Extreme Rules 2022. If The Fiend is returning, the question is who would play the character, and it could prove to be a third role for Bo Dallas on WWE programming. Ultimately, we'll have to see if who him is ever revealed, and do you think bringing The Fiend back in the form of Bo is the right move? Sound off below. Ilya Dragunov won his triple threat against Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee to advance in the Intercontinental title tournament, despite Carlito interfering to aid Dirty Dom. That interference prompted Damian Priest to make the save and fend off both Judgment Day members, and when one-on-one, Dragunov outlasted Lee to secure the win. Dragunov previously missed out on a title shot courtesy of referee stoppage during a match with Braun Breaker, and his return in victory here advances him closer to revenge and his first main roster title. Priest driving Mysterio away made sense given his thirst for revenge and, more importantly, saved Dirty Dom from another defeat after his loss last weekend in Germany.
One of the things students love about Culinary School Online with Escoffier is the toolkit. Our students
Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest got the better of the Judgment Day on Raw after Priest and Jey Uso bested Finn Balor and JD McDonough in the show's main event. Liv Morgan crotched Uso on the top rope, only for Rhea Ripley to make her presence felt, and despite a leg injury suffered earlier in the show, she chased Morgan out of the arena. With Morgan gone, Priest and Uso made quick work of the World Tag Team Champions, and after getting the win, stood tall with Ripley to end the show. With the amount of talent in the ring, this was always going to deliver, and proved to be a fun, energetic conclusion to the show that continued the face's revenge on the heels. The fact that Uso was able to slide in here and make it make sense given his past beef with the faction, all while being in the Intercontinental title picture, is a testament to Triple H and his creative team's skills. Ilya Dragunov and Braun Strowman joined Jey Uso and Pete Dunne in a number 1 Contenders Fatal 4-Way match for Braun Breaker's title, set for next Monday's Raw. Do you think the winner of this match should dethrone Braun Breaker, or should they fall to Braun as part of his journey to be an even more dominant force on Raw? Let us know below. The fun didn't stop after Raw went off the air as Jey Uso and the Terror Twins celebrated in the ring, and Jey got both Rhea and Priest to join in with a yeet. While we don't expect this trio to be named the Yeetment Day on WWE TV, this was a fun moment for the live crowd in Denver, Colorado. We briefly mentioned that Balor and McDonough are the World Tag Team Champions, but you'd be forgiven for forgetting that they are the holders of the gold. The pair won the titles from Awesome Truth back in June and are yet to defend the gold on TV, and this week's Raw was indicative of Balor and McDonough's reign. Once again, the Judgment Day looked weak, and the World Tag Team Champions racked up another loss. Not a good look at all for Raw's supposed best duo. What do you think can be done with the World Tag Team Champions? Is it time to put the gold on another team, and if so, who? Let us know below.
They need to keep it for like 3
In May, Asuka underwent knee surgery, which has kept her out of the ring ever since, and while she isn't wrestling right now, fans can expect to see much more of her in the future. PW Insider reports that Asuka has signed a new long-term deal with WWE, and while the terms of this deal are unclear, this is her latest deal with the company she joined in 2015. Asuka has held gold on all 3 brands and is widely respected among the roster, and expect plenty from the Empress when she's healed thanks to this new deal. Since WrestleMania 40, Damage Control has lost its way, and with Asuka and Dakota Kai out injured, it's been just Kairi Sane and Io Sky who have been battling on Raw. The faction has never been the same since letting Bayley go, and just a couple of weeks ago, Sky was frustrated with Damage Control's inability to recapture championship gold. On Raw, they faced off against the Unholy Union in a women's tag title contenders match, just days after the Unholy Union lost the titles to Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair at Bash in Berlin. The new champions were at ringside to watch the match unfold, and it was a highly competitive affair with both teams doing what they could to re-enter the title picture. Kairi Sane went for a dive off the top rope onto the outside, but Isla Dawn pulled Belair into the way, but Sane crashed into Belair and hit her head on the edge of the announce table. Jade Cargill then attacked Sane, albeit without the referee noticing, as the Unholy Union picked up the win over Damage Control to earn a rematch with the Storm and the EST. Kairi Sane was bleeding badly from the eye following the botched dive on the outside, but that didn't stop herself and Sky staring down Belair and Cargill, insinuating their issues aren't over yet. As for the titles, the Unholy Union will now face Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair for the Women's Tag Team Championships, and the Dark Duo are looking to make this reign a short one. And we're ending with Zelina Vega, who took on Shayna Baszler on Raw, but before the match, a fan's heartfelt sign had the former Queen of the Ring feeling very emotional. Vega held the fan sign, which paid tribute to Zelina's father, who died in the September 11th attack on the World Trade Center, a tragedy Vega has spoken openly and passionately about. In the match, Vega came up short against Shayna Baszler, and a post-match beatdown by the Pure Fusion Collective was interrupted by Lyra Valkyria. Still, the numbers advantage for Pure Fusion Collective proved too great, and the heels stood tall to close things out, setting up a future showdown, likely to happen next week. After a commercial break, Valkyria said she had a plan for next week's Raw in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and if this location is an indication, we could be in store for the return of Natalya.
I hope not. That don't make sense. Ain't she on NXT? Or was? I don't know.